We actually found revenue through a unique program the drug forfeiture program has paid for it. That's what you said you wanted. That's what I have done.
That was my wife's car. She wanted that car. That was hers. They had to take it. No reason to take it at all.
This case started more than a decade and a half ago when retirees let their house be rented out by their son, and they didn't know that their son was growing a little bit of marijuana. The government then used that pretense of marijuana to go in and basically seize everything the Ostipows owned. The Ostipows were innocent owners. The government just won't give any of the property back because they sold it before that final judgment got entered. And we've spent years in court trying to get the value of that property back for the Ostipows.
And the best part about it, we used drug forfeiture money to pay for it.
Civil asset forfeiture is this legal notion that property, rather than a person, commits a crime. You think about this in terms of a bank robbery, for example. The government can charge the person with the crime of bank robbing, but at the same time as the government could take possession of the getaway car because the car itself was part of the criminal activity. Most of the time you hear about a court case of, the United States versus a person, or the people of the state of Michigan versus a person. Civil asset forfeiture is when the government sues the property.
We wanted to live closer to Mom and Dad, so Mom and Dad give us this land, so we built a house on it. My wife, she helped me build a lot of this house. She did. She was a good woman. 53 years we was married. It's a long time. We did a lot of things together, her and I did. The kids too. We had a good life, our family did.
The Ostipows lost most of what they spent a lifetime working for because their son had a few marijuana seedlings.
Stephen, he was growing dope down at the house. We didn't know. And what happened is he was fronting it for a boy, and he got caught in Saginaw County. They made a deal with that boy.
They pulled over a person somewhere in Saginaw County, just a regular old traffic stop, and found that he had, I think drugs on him or something like that. And, common in police work, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it's, well, if you give me someone else, we'll give you a good deal. So they had identified one of the Ostipows children as, I think he has marijuana in his house.
So they picked Stephen, and then a couple days later, they raided that house. They did. Then they come down here and did the same thing here, raided this house. They just come in and took everything. Took everything that they could get to sell, is what they did. House, barns, garage, all the tools, air tools, go-karts, tents, all my deer mounts, my grandson's walleye mounts that he was 6, 7 years old at the time. They took them out of that house. Never let us have one thing out of that house. Not one thing. That house was in my wife's name, not Stephen's. They had no right of taking our stuff.
So they went to the house. What they actually found was, one of those black trays that you would buy flowers at the nursery in. It was something like that, where marijuana had been planted with a grow light. There was not a plant that was taller than a 1/2 inch. So there was no actual usable marijuana. And from what I understand, having spoke to the detectives early in the case when we were doing discovery, the way it was set up, there never would have been any usable marijuana.
It hurt my family. Deep down, it hurt them all. My daughter mostly, and my sons. They still talk about it today.
For about 80 to 90% of the property, they had absolutely nothing. Not even speculation, not the most single shred of evidence that would in any way place this small marijuana grow, it would place it in any relation to the particular property that they took.
They don't care. They don't care. They got what they wanted. They got thousands and thousands of dollars.
Civil asset forfeiture, there's a defense to it, and it's, I own it, and I'm innocent of this.
Gerald and Royetta are innocent owners, meaning they didn't commit the crime and they actually just decided to fight back. The system doesn't know how to deal with them.
You don't have a lot of precedent out there in the law as to what happens when they forfeited property or tried to forfeit property or sold property that should have never been forfeited in the first place. There's still other ways we can make the claimant whole or the former property owner whole. I mean, the most obvious is figure how much it was worth and write them a check. I would have thought at that point that that's what would have happened, but it's not what happened. Civil asset forfeiture, I have been convinced, is just bad policy. And despite that it may have some positive uses, the chance of abuse is too high. The fact that one case like this exists means that the risk is too high.
But one of the big concerns with civil asset forfeiture is that government sometimes is not driven by the pureness and goodness of what's in their hearts, but by the green dollars that can be put into their pocketbook.
Every penny that was spent on those cars to change them over was out of the drug forfeiture account. So it wasn't taxpayer money.
The sheriff could simply say, I'm going to make sure these people get their money back. They're not doing that. What they're doing is they're saying, no one has mandated us to give the money back, so we're not going to do anything until we're mandated to.